All right, welcome to day 7. We're going to skip the thing on the calendar that says assignment given by Mr. Engel, so there won't be any homework tonight. And we're going to go through the homework, and then after that, you'll be able to do the quiz and then turn that in. So first one on the homework, notice it's leveling off at 3. So our base form, we want to start with a times b to the x plus 3. Take your 2 points, sub them in for x and y. Always do your adding or subtracting first. So in this case, we wanted to subtract the 3 over. Divide your equations with the one with the bigger exponent on top. So for me, that was the green equation there. We wanted that on top, the black one on the bottom. When you divide out, subtract your exponents, you get b is equal to 3. Sub back into one of the equations. It's usually easier if you sub into one that has an exponent of 0. When you work through, you get a is -1. So we have -1 times 3 to the x plus 3. Transformations, that's showing a reflection over the x-axis and a shift up 3. Next one, we had a -2 at the end. Fill in your x and y values. Add the 2 over first. When you divide, you should end up getting b as a half. Sub that half back in, probably easiest to do into the one that had an exponent of 0. Work through, you get a is 4, so you have 4 times 1/2 to the x minus 2. Remember, if your b value is ever a fraction, you must have it in parentheses, so I think it's helpful to just always put the b value in parentheses. And a common error I see is people forget to stick that plus or minus value on the end of your equation, so don't forget to put that there. And if in the directions it said we were comparing it to 2 to the x, so the 1/2 causes that to be a reflection over the y-axis, because it would be really to a 2 to the -1. 4 can either be multiply the y's by 4 or vertical stretch by a factor of 4, and the -2 is a shift down 2. Next one, pretty similar idea. The steps as the other one. You can pause if you need to look at the work. We should have had 6 times 2 to the x plus 1. That was either multiplying y's by 6 or a vertical stretch by a factor of 6, and we had a shift up 1. If you're getting weird numbers when you are doing a problem like this, one of the most common things is you forgot to add or subtract your value for where it is leveling off on the end. Next one, we're leveling off at -4, so have the -4 on the end. Add those 4's over. Divide your equations with the larger exponent on top. We should get a equals b cubed. The opposite of cubing something is taking the cubed root. So on your calculator, that is control and then the caret button, and it'll allow you to put the cube in the little crevice there for the cubed root. You get b is 2. We didn't have anything raised to the 0, so pick one of them to sub into. I subbed into the 1 equals a times b squared 1, the black equation. When you divide the 4 over, you get a is a 4th. So our final equation, we should have 1/4 times 2 to the x minus 4. The 1/4, you could either say multiply the y's by 1/4 or vertical compression by a factor of a 4th, and then a shift down 4. Next one, we're leveling off at -1. So sub everything in. Eventually, you should get a is 1 and b is 2. So we have 1 times 2 to the x minus 1. Only transformation that's showing is a shift down 1 because the one out front is not doing anything. In 20, we're leveling off at 3, so make sure you have a +3 on your end of your equation. Subtract that 3 over first. When you divide the equations, we get b equals 3. Subbing back in gives us a equals -3. So we have -3 times 3 to the x plus 3 on the end. The minus out front is reflecting over the x-axis. You can have either multiply y's by 3 or vertical stretch by a factor of 3. And then +3 on the end is a shift up 3. 21, we had a leveling off at 2, so we should have a +2 on the end. Be careful when you divide your equations. We have -1 minus a -2. So minus a -2 really gives us a +2, so we'll end up with b to the first. So we get b is 1/3. We only had options to sub in with negative exponents. So 1/3 to the -1 becomes 1 to the -1 over 3 to the -1. Negative exponents switch where you are in your fraction, so that becomes 3 over 1. And then you can divide the 3 over to give us a is -1/3. So we have negative 1/3 times 1/3 to the x plus 2. 22, you're leveling off at positive 4, so subtract the 4 over, divide your equations, you get b is 3. Sub back in, and you eventually get negative 2/9 for a. So you could say reflecting over the x-axis, multiply y's by 2/9, or vertical compression by a factor of 2/9, and the plus 4 on the end is a shift up 4. So that's it for the homework ones. So now you can go and do the quiz. If you are remote, you have your quiz in an envelope to go ahead and do. It says quiz 8C-7. If you're in class, the quiz will be passed out to you. And you have until the end of the period, which this period ends at 34, so till 12:34 to work. Now, the quiz says no calculator. You can go ahead and use your calculator on it, that's fine. And you are also free to use your notes packet on the quiz as well. This is an open notes quiz. So go ahead and do that. You may not communicate with anyone else during the quiz as you're taking it, but you may use your notes.